Okay, we're starting chapter 21 of 1 Samuel, and this is day 102, part 2 of Bible Reading in a Year.
Right.
And we'll go ahead
I'm
right
Eric.
now. And I'm Linda. So let's go ahead, verse 1. Then came David to Nob, to Amalek, the priest, and Amalek was afraid at the meeting of David, and said unto him, Why art thou alone, and no man with thee? And David said unto Amalek, the priest, The king hath commanded me a business, and hath said unto me, Let no man know anything of thy business, whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee. And I will have appointed my servant do such and such a place. And therefore, what is under thine hand, give me 5 loaves of bread of mine hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered David and said, There is no common bread under mine hand, but there is a hollow bread. And if the young men have kept themselves at least from women, if the young men have kept themselves at least from women, I don't know why that's in there.
Well,
And David answered, okay. And David answered the priest and said unto him, Of a truth a woman have been kept from us about these 3 days since I come out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common, yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. So the priest gave him hollowed bread, for there was no bread there, but the showbread that was taken from before the Lord, to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. Now a certain man in the servants of David was there that day, detained before the Lord, and his name was Doeg, an Edomite, the chiefest of the headsmen that belonged to Saul. Verse 8.
David asked Amalek, don't you have a spear or a sword here? I haven't brought my sword or any other weapon, because the king's business was urgent. The priest replied, The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, is here. It is wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you want it, take it. There is no sword here but that one. I don't know if it's going to handle a big sword. David said, There is none like it. Give it to me. David at Gath. That day David fled from Saul and went to Achish, king of Gath. But the servants of Achish said to him, Isn't this David, the king of the land? Isn't he the one who sang about in their dances? Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000. David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, king of Gath. So he pretended to be insane in their presence, and while he was in their hands, he acted like a madman, making marks on the doors of the gate and letting saliva run down his beard. Achish said to his servants, Look at the man. He is insane. Why bring him to me? Am I so short of madmen that you have to bring this fellow here to carry on like this in front of me? Must this man come into my house? And that's the end of
The Old Testament portion of today's reading. So now we're going to turn to the book of Luke in the New Testament.
Way over to the back.
Yeah.
New Testament. Matthew, Mark, Luke. Oh! And we're reading 29 to 54.
And that is in chapter 11. You didn't tell me that. So turn to chapter 11 instead of 29 to 54.
Sorry about that.
Okay, and I guess it's my turn.
The sign of Jonah.
The sign of Jonah. And when the people were gathered there together, thick together, he began to say, This is an evil generation. They seek a sign, and there shall no sign be given it, but the sign of Jonah the prophet. For as Jonah was into the I thought you were looking over my way and I didn't know that. For as Jonah was a sign unto the Ninevites, so shall also the Son of Man be to this generation. The queen of the south shall rise up in judgment with the men of this generation, and condemn them. For she came from the utmost parts of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, a greater one than Solomon is here. And the men of Nineveh shall rise up in the judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it, for they repented at the preaching of Jonah. Mine says Jonas. Did you
Yeah,
say
yeah,
Jonas?
Jonas is fine.
And behold, a greater than Jonas is here. No man, when he hath light a candle, putteth it in a secret place, neither under a bushel, but puts it on a candlestick, that they which come it may see the light. And the light of the body is the body, and the light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, thy body also is full of darkness. Take heed, therefore, that the light which is in thee be not darkness. If the whole body, therefore, be full of light, having no part in darkness, the whole shall be full of light, as when the bright shineth of a candle doth give thee light. Verse 37.
6 Woes. When Jesus had finished speaking, a Pharisee invited him to eat with him. So he went in and reclined at the table. But the Pharisee, noticing that Jesus did not first wash before the meal, was surprised. Then the Lord said to him, Now then, you Pharisees, clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you are full of greed and wickedness. You foolish people, did not the one who made the outside make the inside also? But give what is inside the dish to the poor, and everything will be clean for you.
Hmm.
Did not the one who made the outside make the inside also? Okay. But give what is inside the dish to the poor, and everything will be clean for you.
Mine says in verse 41, but rather give alms of such things as ye have, and behold, all things are clean unto you.
Well,
So if we start supporting the poor, it's like it's clean the wickedness out of our heart, is what it's saying.
verse 42. Woe to you, Pharisees, because you give God a tenth of your mint, rue, and all other kinds of garden herbs, but you neglect justice and the love of God. You should have practiced the latter without leaving the former undone. Woe to you, Pharisees, because you love the most important seats in the synagogue and greetings in the marketplaces. Woe to you, because you are like unmarked graves, which men walk over without knowing it.
Verse 45. Then answered one of the lawyers and said unto him, Master, thus sayings thou reproachest us also? And he said, Woe unto you also, ye lawyers, for ye lade men with burdens grievous to be borne, and ye yourselves touch not the burdens with one of your fingers. Woe unto you, for ye build speculars. What you say?
Tombs for the
Tombs
prophets.
for the prophets, and your fathers killed them. Truly ye bear witness that ye allow the deeds of your fathers, for they indeed killed them, and ye built their sepulchres.
Yes.
Sepulchres. Therefore also said the wisdom of God, I will send them prophets and apostles, and some of them they shall slay and persecute, that the blood of all the prophets which was shed from the foundation of the world may be required of this generation. Verse 51.
It says, Therefore this generation will be held responsible, this verse 50, for the blood of all the prophets that has been shed since the beginning of the world, from the blood of Abel to the blood of Zechariah, who was killed between the altar and the sanctuary. Yes, I tell you, this generation will be held responsible for it all. Woe to you, experts in the law, because you have taken away the key to knowledge. You yourselves have not entered, and you have hindered those who were entering. When Jesus left there, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law began to oppose him fiercely and to besiege him with questions. So he goes to this guy's house for supper, and then he really tells them off. And they
Yeah.
waited to catch him in something he might say. And that's the end of our reading. He's very,
So,
very strong against the Pharisees and the legal.
so he says that, "O you lawyers, for you have taken away the key of knowledge." And is the key of knowledge that if we really help the poor, then I suppose if you sold everything you had and gave it to the poor, it certainly would be a learning experience, wouldn't it? Because I guess you'd have to totally depend on God to survive then, wouldn't you?
We solely depend on God anyway.
Well, some people, everyone does, but not everyone knows they do. Many people think that they have to work hard to build a large pension, accumulate wealth. There's all kinds of scriptures against accumulating wealth for your old age at the expense of the poor and the hungry and the needy. Especially in this day and age, it's really promoted that if you're anybody with any intelligence, investment funds and retirement funds and all kinds of stuff so that, when you're very old, you can have some leisure in your life. But meanwhile, at the expense of many, many people who in this world, especially now, with all the natural disasters, who are suffering. And that money's sitting in some rich man's, we give them our money and trust it to these people who control the pension funds. And they use that money to do power games and change politics and change countries and change the world. So we're supporting, these big banks and these politicians with this money, hoping to get some return. So in our old age, there's something there that's going to come back to keep us in comfort. And then many, many times, all of a sudden it's gone. Like just a short few years ago, we had some investments from your company and we lost almost all of it because the market dropped. So there, our trust was in the wrong place. Meanwhile, if we'd taken that huge amount of money and maybe helped the poor, if we had tremendous faith that God would take care of us, invest that money in helping the poor, no one could take that away because it's an eternal investment.
Well,
And we would have
but
learned a lot about trusting God, I guess.
but also you have to be wise in certain things too. But we certainly need the Lord's wisdom in all that we do. And to do investment for retirement, I think we need to work. Each one of us has to seek the counsel of God for that, and trust God. I mean, we basically need to trust God regardless of whatever happens. But He also, at the same time, He doesn't want us to neglect the poor people either. And but what I'm noticing, the extreme load that is being brought. Like when you watch television, there is organization after organization after organization after organization, and I could go on and on and on about fundraising for this cause and that cause and something else and something else. It's just mind-boggling and overwhelming.
But the way you could look at it is this: is God's given us all kinds of opportunities to redeem ourselves by giving us all these choices of places where we can invest money in the blessing and help of others, maybe. It's just a different way to look at it. Well, our time's quickly running out, and I don't want us just to go away without sending a blessing your way. And do you have a blessing? I said a really nice one the other day. It was one of those blessings God gave to the Israelites to give to
What is
people.
it?
Benediction.
The Lord.
It's probably from the Psalms, right?
No, we read it earlier in the Bible. May the Lord, the last part was countenance to rest upon you. Well, anyhow, I'll just say this. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may He lift you up and hold you in all things. And while He's lifting you up and holding you up, may you realize that it is He that is doing that to you and for you and blessing you. So,
And for my prayer tonight, I'm going to read part of Psalms 102 until the tape goes off. So if I don't get it all read, you can turn to Psalms 102 and finish reading this Psalm of David. Hear my prayer, O Lord, and let my cry come unto thee. Hide not thy face from me in the day when I am in trouble. Incline thine ear unto me in the day when I call. Answer me speedily. For my days are consumed like smoke, and my bones are burned up as a hearth, and my heart is smitten and withers like grass, so that I forgot to eat my bread. Be reason by reason of the. Can I read your